Welcome to the Spool podcast. Unwind with Dr. Niels Romer, Dean of the Bass School at UT Dallas.
Let me introduce you. We're really thrilled to have you here today, Brooke Hudy. You're part and parcel of our campus, our community, and very much also a student in the Bass School. But you're here today for, first and foremost, to talk to us about esports so that we understand a little bit more, hopefully, afterwards about it. But before we get there, would you mind just telling us a little bit about you? Are you from Dallas and around, or?
So I was homeschooled.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so.
Hence the time for esports. We see the connection.
Yeah, I mean, I had time to do it,
right.
So this is only natural for me.
So you went homeschool all the way, and then you came straight to Dallas at UT Dallas?
So actually, I was in public school up until about 6th grade, and then we made the switch to homeschool in 7th grade because it just wasn't working for me.
Okay.
And then in high school, I found almost like a college prep type program and just did that all through high school.
Wonderful. Yeah. And then you decided, now I'm going to go for a real crazy school, which is a Bass school that has this, that, and the other. Yeah. And you joined, I take it, our arts and technology side, right? So you're pursuing the BA in animation and games in particular?
So I'm technically under general right now.
Oh, you're in that other, curriculum.
But I've been focusing more on the photography, videography classes. So technically I should be under VPA, but made it to a point where I was like, I don't want to switch.
Because this was one of the ways how you actually entered esports, right?
Correct.
Partly maybe as a player, gamer, but more so because of photos and videos that you took of unfolding games. So that's maybe the first thing that we need to understand, that esports is a spectator sport of sorts, just as well as traditional sports is, right?
Yeah, that's
And I think I was just trying to look this up to put it into numbers, but I think there's an expectation that by 29 or something like that, 900 million viewers around the world will be, actively watching esports. So it's a growing industry, and it's not quite yet overall, at the numbers maybe of traditional sports, but certain events certainly can compete of sorts and size, right? Mm-hmm. And we have a big one coming up. You just earlier said that everyone on campus is practicing a little bit more. Tell us about the upcoming big competition.
Yeah, so right now all of our teams are going into NACE playoffs, and it's just the top 8 teams from around the country, and they're all just, they're going against each other just to hopefully make it to the final playoffs, which will be in Orlando.
Oh, fantastic. So explain, since we're here sitting in my office and not really in our beautiful new esports facility. So we just, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months ago, opened up our esports facility. So what's in there?
We've got everything now. We've got our main Comets Landing area,
right,
which includes, I think there's 150 new PCs in there. And then we've got 7 Nintendo Switches, we've got PlayStation 5s, Xboxes, I believe.
Oops, half my team is gone right now. They all ran off. What's happening? I'm by myself here.
Yeah, so there's so much in there. And then outside of our Comets Landing, we now have a full broadcast studio, which is really nice. I mean, before we had one little office and, a little camera in front of us where we would stream, but now we have a full-on production room. So now it's just, we have full control over our streams. And then, of course, we have our varsity room as well, which is, we've had that for a while, but now it's just we've gotten upgrades in there, and it's just really nice for the players. And we've gotten new screens and new PCs, and then obviously we have.
And you have even
offices.
food there in case you have the munchies, right?
Oh,
between,
that's right. We have our new Buffalo Wild Wings.
That's right. We're not making advertisement. Are we making advertisement for anyone in particular? But in other words, this is built so that, however hungry one is, one can last in there. But it's an incredible site. We not too long ago we had a chance to tour it, and it's like you said. It's built out everywhere comfortably, with all these computers, but then other parts look like a TV production room of sorts, right? And in lots of ways, one understands that this is also a big business, right? It's a big industry that is emerging, and I think it's really interesting that we have lots of our students from the Bass School who are there, right? You're not alone, I would imagine. You have a lot of friends, and then otherwise, I think mostly they're students from computer science, or what do you think? What other schools are they drawing from?
I know we have a lot of players who are in business.
Oh, business as well. Okay.
Yeah.
It's also a big school, so they're everywhere.
They are everywhere. Yeah, but it's just kind of a good mix. I mean, we've got computer science majors, business majors, really just anyone.
But you're part of, are you recording the varsity team?
Correct.
Okay.
I handle all the photography, videography, video editing, so like the more social media aspect
Okay,
of
that's very
things.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the part that we're trying to understand now. So we have now this great facility. We have excellent number of students who are involved, participating, competing. How, if at all, can we integrate this now into curriculum, into other things that we do? So there maybe a desire, do you think, for a certificate in esports, which would be kind of games fundamentals plus like a way of understanding esports as a business, as a potential career? I mean, what you're doing right now, right? Historically, maybe on a different campus, you could have done that for their football team or basketball team. Here you're doing it for esports, right?
Correct. Yeah, I know there are other universities that kind of have esports certificates or even like majors. I haven't looked into it much though, so I couldn't tell you much of the details on it. But as far as like curriculum goes, I think it's definitely, at least in my experience, it's been more of a learning thing. I mean, I've learned how to market myself, how to connect with people. So definitely I can see it being on like the business side of things. Yeah.
So hence maybe also so many students from the business school being there. But it's interesting, you know, when we think about lots of things, whether it's theater or games, so then we tend to think about it in a very narrow way often. You know, if theater, well, you learn how to rehearse your lines or be on the stage, or, you know, here maybe you learn how to game. But what we really don't understand is that doing that and involving yourself, like you put so well, means you acquire lots of other skills as well along with it, right? Just networking, connecting, using the technology, understanding something about what makes something a success, what something, you know, makes less of a success. So I think that's really, really critical to these things that students do outside of their classroom that in other ways enhance their educational experience, like we said. So are you excited about the upcoming competition? Will you be out there every night watching them all, or how does it look like?
I'm definitely excited. Big supporter of all of our teams, so it's really just, I mean, I love watching them get excited to play. I love whenever they're winning and they're all, you know, like the energy is very high in those moments. And then of course, like if we do end up qualifying and we do get to go to Orlando, that's another, you know, fun thing, because then I get to go and do photos and videos, and just for me, it's the whole experience and just being with them. And it's really great, and I love watching them, and I love interacting with them and getting to know them, especially whenever we're in the middle of big things like this.
So will you, you know, the bigger competitions, will you also live stream them outside of that, you know, where you have that big screen for everyone, so that it becomes beyond the esport, it becomes like a campus event as well? Yeah,
so whenever we're playing at games like this, for example, within the past month, with our Rocket League team, we went to Myrtle Beach. So that was streamed by the event that they had, so the people that were hosting it. So events like this, they're normally streamed by whatever university is hosting it. But Comic-Con, for example, which we just had, our League of Legends team, we went against Collin College and UNT, and that was, I mean, we handled the full production on that.
Oh, wow. Okay. So how many viewers do you have on a competition like that?
It tends to, you know, like numbers will go up and down, but we normally sit around 100 or so online, and then of course there's a bunch of people who come in, they sit
because they want to eat the wings, right? That's why they're coming, right?
Yeah. And of course, you know, we have that big screen on the yard, so people will sit out there and watch.
Well, in particular now the weather gets nice. I mean, you had that little cold spell here, but now that things get a little nicer, I mean, that's what the screen is built for. But, you know, it's an interesting moment for us on campus. So we have, just within the last couple of weeks, on the one side, we had the Final Four of our famous chess team, which has been a marker of our campus culture. Then at the same time, we had a team develop the entire campus on Minecraft. and advancing the idea of how you can teach MCAT in Minecraft. And then at the same time, we're here to go on as esports as a business and career opportunity, but also something that shapes our kind of community culture on campus. So really interesting moment in terms of who we are as a campus and the different opportunities that are there. You yourself play?
I do play, just not at the level that they play at. I do so more for fun. It was something that my brother and I used to do together whenever we were younger. And now it's like, it just sort of carried on. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to do, just sit down and game.
But, you know, you've talked to us about you playing and having played much with your brother. So tell us a little bit about your favorite games, and then we'll want to learn more about the top esport games. So first of all, your favorite games.
Oh boy. Big fan of like Dead by Daylight and Animal Crossing. Lately I've been on like a Super Mario Odyssey kick for some reason. So I don't know, I tend to stay in the more relaxed games. We've got Overwatch, Valorant, League of Legends, Super Smash Bros, Rocket League, and then even outside of this, these are our varsity teams, but we've got more than just varsity going on. We have a bunch of clubs. So I mean, really any game you can name. So
it's like seeing quote unquote professional competition. Is there anything making you enjoy it more, or is it taken away?
Yes.
No, it's just, so it's like other people watch soccer and then afterwards they go in the park and kick around the ball and think, well, I can do this as well, or at least kind of thinking about it in their ways.
I think it helps me enjoy the games more because it's like I have that sort of personal connection to it in a way where I understand what's going on and I can sit there and watch them and just follow along with them. So it helps me enjoy it more, and then it makes me want to play more too.
I mean, every other sports is about celebrities, right? I mean, clearly identified leaders. And how's that in esports? Is there similar international stars of sorts? And
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a similar sort of concept. Because I mean, these players, they can go pro later on, and of course, then that's more of a, you know, they're playing in these very professional settings, and they're training in professional settings, and they're with actual teams. So of course, from that, there are players and there are people who are sort of idolized within the community. And then there's also the streaming aspect of it. Twitch is a big one for it. A bunch of YouTubers, Twitch streamers, just very popular and kind of idolized in the community for whatever games they play.
What are the big challenges? So if you think about athletes, you're always thinking faster, higher, and stronger or whatever. What are the challenges for a player who really wants to accelerate in this? What does he or she needs to do? How do you practice this? What are the challenges for this?
I would say probably one of the biggest challenges is really got to be getting into it, because it's easy for me, who takes, you know, the games less seriously and does it more as a fun thing, sort of just to pass time. It's easy for me to just sit down and game and not think much about it, but these players that really want to get up there, I mean, there's a lot of time that has to go into it. There's a lot of training. I mean, I've sat in on some of their meetings and just hearing them talk about compositions and the way they should be playing and things they should have done differently and games that they had played. It's just a lot of really knowing what you're doing and being familiar with what you're doing. So there's
any kind of level of strategy and then what other sports, in other words, has as well?
I would say it's similar in the sense that you do have to keep training and really sort of own in on those skills.
How long is a game?
It depends
on
the game.
I always like the short sport competitions because then I'm in and out. So how long does this take?
It depends.
Give us a range here.
Let's see. I would say for Overwatch, games can easily go anywhere from 15 minutes to 30 to 45 minutes a game if it's a really long one. League of Legends games I found to be slightly longer. Those are, 25 or so minutes per game.
Per game.
And of course, that's only one round.
Right.
They're playing, multiple rounds.
So how many, like for the competitions, how many rounds do you play?
That also depends.
That also depends, okay.
Yeah, I know our League of Legends, they were doing like best of 3, or it would be like first 2, 3, that sort of thing. But I mean, it's completely dependent on the competition and the players and the game that's
But then
going
they
on.
play multiple rounds of that in
Correct.
a row, right? So we're just still trying to figure out the wings, and so that's
Yeah.
so this stretches out over hours and hours. Is that the idea?
Yeah, our League of Legends stream that we just did, we streamed for 13 hours straight. And that was
Oh
all
wow!
playing,
See, that's what I was
so-
trying to get at. So hence, now we understand that one of the other tidbits that we looked up earlier is the traditional sports. The average viewer age is around 50, and the tradition for esports, the average viewer's age is about 26. Makes a lot more sense if it can stretch onto 13 hours, right? You guys would be all asleep at that. I would be the first one, to admit. So that's really, really long. But nonetheless, then I guess it's also something where as viewers, they kind of drift in and out. I mean, they're not going to watch 13 hours in a row, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of, of course, we had different teams playing against each other. So there, of course, when UTD was playing, UTD viewers are going to be the most likely to be watching it.
Right.
Versus like when UNT was going up against Colin. So it's really, I mean, of course, they're drifting in and out of the stream, but it's dependent on what games are happening. Like, we'll get more viewers during the final playoffs than we would during like the first game.
How much in your mind is now this new facility changing everything about esports on campus?
I would say it's changing a lot. If I recall correctly, this is one of the biggest facilities in the United States.
Yeah.
And I think it's changing a lot because a lot of universities, I mean, I've had people approach me from other universities that have seen ours, and it's like, wow, like we've seen what you've done and we want to do it too. So I think it kind of gets the ball rolling for other people to start thinking about things and
Do you
that
see,
large.
now, I mean, we're still in the middle of recruitment, enrollment, and all that. Do you see like the standard tours now all making it their way through the esports facilities?
Yeah, we get a lot of people taking pictures of us while we're in there.
I would imagine that this is, was quickly added on as to one of the highlights. I mean, there are many things that we show off on campus, but that certainly is going to be one of them now to get everyone excited about coming here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about either, actively participating as a player or just being part of that culture and community. That's probably a bit weird, right? Constantly be on display like that, but for certain parts of the academic year, yeah, you're probably it, probably the most attractive destination on campus at this point for any of these viewers.
Yeah.
Do you think, going forward, we understand that your role is really the kind of, you're documenting for your taking photos, videos as these events unfold. Do you think that you want to stay with that going forward? Is that something that interests you to extend this beyond your graduation as a career, to kind of stay close into esports and in that capacity?
I think so. It's not a world I expected to ever be in, but it has been something I've really loved and enjoyed being in, so I can see myself sort of staying in it. I mean, the way I've always talked about it is I'll be happy really doing anything, but I think I'm at a point right now where I've built so many sort of connections and I've had so much experience in this field so far that it's like if I get to stay in it, I mean, I would love it.
Sounds really exciting. How about your brother? You said, earlier, well, I started playing with my brother. How does he feel now about you and what you're doing at this point?
He's actually one of my biggest supporters.
Okay.
We have about 7 years between us, so different world between the two of us. He's older.
Okay.
But I mean, I'll sit there and I'll talk to him about things, and he's not as big into it as I am. He's more of a casual gamer.
Okay.
But I mean, there's definitely that sort of like mutual respect between us, and I'll talk about my job, and then he'll be like, oh, by the way, I saw this thing that you might want to do.
So right now, how much time in a week do you spend there? I mean, part of it is your job, right? You work a certain amount of hours. How many hours do you work a week there?
Normally, I go around 10 to 20.
All right. We have a number of students from BAS school that work there, right?
Correct.
So you're just one of them. So you see your BAS fellows there, and then at the same time, you're hitting the books or whatever you're doing in your classes, all the same.
Mm-hmm.
So you have another year left, or how much more do you have?
Yeah, I have another year.
All right. It's early days to think about what comes next, right? But at the same time, I think you're kind of making us realize that there's a lot more to esports than just spending long nights and having a good time, that it's a very competitive sport with a lot of other, functions around it, marketing, videography, photography, and so on and so forth. So it sounds really interesting. So I want to shake off my team here from their devices, and see if they're paying attention, but they're checking this out right now as we speak, right, guys? Huh? Who's confessing? Who's playing here right now, huh? Scott, is it you again? Yeah, all right. That's much. Well, we figure that you're catching up here. You think there's another career in this, yeah? You're winning, no less. Thank you, Brooke, so much for joining us.
Of course.